Now, some people figure this out pretty quick and some people don't. I'm a person who didn't really figure it out quick. When people get into custom leatherworking, a lot of times they kind of know that they want to do the art thing, but then they end up getting caught up doing a lot of things that a factory shop would. Now, when I say being a factory shop, there is absolutely no negative connotation to it. I just can't really think of a better term. I guess you could also call it a manufacturer. You know, the most popular kind of factory shop I can think of would be like an Odin's Leather Goods, or, you know, like a Stock and Barrel or something like that, where there's a lot of ways to think about a factory shop. You can think about it about like an Odin's Leather Goods who makes tons and tons and tons of volumes of product, which there's nothing wrong with that. Their stuff is made incredibly well, but if you look at it, the price reflects it, right? You can get like a money clip for 50 bucks. Super fair price, especially because it's gonna last forever because it's made out of legit leather. Or you can look at some people. This is where I kind of like wince and kind of go like, that's super kind of shitty. And maybe it's something not to aspire to. But if it's what you wanna do, by all means, go for it. But there are factory shops where, you know, they're considered custom shops where you might be able to custom order your belt with, you know, your initials on the end of it, but the rest of the belt is just super generic. Let me just go with all the same exact floral on every single belt. The only thing that's different from belt to belt, it's like, oh, you get your initials, or oh, you can pick between sunflowers or feathers. And it's very factory and quantity based, right? Where you probably have a really generic order form where it's like select flower and you just check the mark, you know, what flower you want, and you go, you know, what's your initials, and you just write your initials in, and then you write your size and, you know, what color. And then that's really all you get. That's quote unquote custom.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass.
But they're pumping everything out as if it's a factory. Those types of shops, I think they're kind of the worst of both, if you want me to be completely honest, because you're like tricking people into thinking that it's custom, and it's as least, you know, art focused as a factory shop. So it's almost like the worst of both worlds, in my opinion.
Oh, hell no!
But the companies that stick to factory stuff, like, you know, manufacturing companies that are more like Odin, and companies like that, where they're still handcrafted and made with heart, but just not customized. Or you take the artist route where, you know, you could be a general custom shop, you know, like people like me, like a Whiskey Bound Leather or Alexander Leather Goods, they're going by now. You know, Mackey's Leather Goods, he does stuff like that. Even like a Don Gonzalez, or, you know, a Cowboy Crazy Leather, where you are getting something custom made specifically for you, and then you run with that, you know, taking the artist route, and you start going to the extreme where you're starting to develop your own style of doing things. Every crafter is going to have a little bit of their own style, but what I see all too often is everybody kind of goes for this traditional Sheridan style, and nobody really nails it perfect like the guys way back in the day. So everybody's kind of playing around with, you know, traditional Sheridan. Everybody's kind of ripping off Don Gonzalez patterns, and it's kind of gets muddy, you know, in that picture. Or you can kind of go, you know, like I said, to the extreme art side, where you're starting to look at people like Western Skies, where every single thing she makes is literally a piece of art, and you're buying art that you can use stuff with. Most custom people kind of fall into this camp, but I find that a lot of like beginner to intermediate crafters kind of get stuck in this limbo area where they're kind of paying attention to what everybody else is doing and kind of trying to stay with the pack, and that's not good either. If you're gonna commit to being an artist, you need to commit to being an artist and make sure that your work, it stands out. There's tons and tons of traditional leather crafters that are so good and they just kill it. You can see their work just looks like their work. You know, you go, that's a Dustin Loftus piece, or oh, that's a, you know, Sarah Garvey with Western Skies piece, or, you know, even like Moormaid. Like Moormaid has a unique style. You know, Angle D has a unique style. There's tons and tons of people like this, and I think it's huge that if you're gonna be a custom person, you have to fully accept that you are an artist and you have to make your mark. You know, people are wanting to go get something custom made by you because they like your work. It's because they like your work and they like your style. So lean into your own style and provide something that is irreplaceable. For example, like me, I didn't learn this till a little bit later. I found myself in that middle custom ground where I just was kind of paying attention to everybody else. Maybe about 2 years ago is when I really flipped the switch to go, hey dude, you're an artist, go ham on your art. So now I've been, you know, all the time I've been doing leather work, I've been slowly developing my own style, but that's just kind of the habits that I picked up. Once I acknowledge that I have my own personal style, then that allows me to kind of like push my own boundaries and push the boundaries of leather work. I know it sounds corny, but you got to think about all the greats doing leather like ever. You know, Al Stolman was pushing the boundaries. You know, Don King is pushing the boundaries. Western Skies, you know, Sarah Garvey pushes the boundaries. D. Loftus, he pushes the boundaries. And in order to become great, you have to push the boundaries. You have to respect the tradition, but push the boundaries and take the craft in a direction it's never been. And if you can add your style and your, you know, your flavor, it's like you know, coming to a potluck and being able to sprinkle your own bit of flavor on the whole leather crafting as a whole and leave your mark in some kind of way. That's how the craft progresses. That's how the craft stays alive. That's giving to the craft and not taking away from it. And that's where I find some of these shops that are quote unquote custom, where they're just, you know, dumping out the same exact project just with your little tweak, your name tweaked or your initials tweaked. You're not providing anything to the craft. Sure, you are providing a product to the customer, but you're not providing anything to leather crafting. You're taking money out of leather crafting by basically taking the easy way out of being a custom guy and then being able to just undercut all the custom people's prices because you basically are a factory. So too many people, I think, focus on kind of like what everybody else is doing in terms of their craft. You either gotta be an Odin and just make super high quality stuff and push it and push it and push it and push it and be the best at just cranking that stuff out. Not just speed, but quality too. I do want to clarify, there is still an art in like an Odin leather goods, or, you know, people who hand make really simple things with no tooling on it. There is still craftsmanship and stuff, especially like I've seen the craziest Japanese crafters who they barely even have a maker's mark. Their maker's mark is super tiny. They just want you to make like the most perfect machine precise handmade thing. And that's totally fine. But either figure out whether you want to be the best kind of manufacturer of simple, high quality goods, or leave your mark on the industry with your own unique style.